killable comp. Lulu is still up for grabs, but let's see who will Leon Knights pick this time around. They could secure a support. Galio most likely going over to the support role or into the mid lane, give or take. Okay, it's going to be a support Galio because TF will go into the mid lane.
This is what I'm talking about. The Galio Twisted Fate has been very dominant, has been played multiple times in the Icon Series Philippines for the fall season. And when you leave it open, Lee Knight is going to pick it up for themselves as they have the open slot for the mid lane and also the support. Now, MIRMOOO, as he stated a while ago, they're now going for the Darius because they want a dominant Baron, and a potential snowball is going to be a Saya Rakan to dominate the dual lane is also an option for MIRMOOO Esports.
Possibly. I mean, if you are going to be up against Galio, Saya is one of the best picks given that you can just free hit from the back lines, or you also have the Feather Storm if ever Kaisel will Killer Instinct her way in. Renekton has been picked up by Leonites. We will be seeing a Darius versus Renekton in the Baron lane. The last pick for Leonites will be a Vi. Vi versus J4. I guess we will not be seeing much of them in the early game, but more on Vi just trying to target either Ari or Saya. But my money's on Saya just because she's very vulnerable in the early game.
Right. And I do believe that as well. And as you stated a while ago on the Vi, I want to target that specifically because on an individual matchup against Jarvan 4, there's going to be very interesting. Vi is more on going for the solo type of engage, solo type of initiation, but Jarvan 4 is going for the AoE. So when it comes to the mid game, late game, I think MIRMOOO Esports has that edge when it comes to the jungle role, and Leonites will fall in that phase as well, with the Vi having more dominance in the early game with a lot of single targeted CC.
And while looking at the drafts for these two teams, overall, it's okay. To be fair, MIRMOOO even has these single target CCs. You have the Ari at the mid lane. You also have Vi for Leonites. So it's just this yin and yang, this balance of trying to balance out which CC will we use first. On top of that, let's not forget, MIRMOOO still has Rakan, the quickness, which can be used as an initiate, but now you have both Baron laners making their way down into the mid lane.
Yeah, this is very traditional because the mid lane, as you all know, is much more faster to go into the mid part of the map. So having that knowledge, I think MIRMOOO Esports wants to capitalize on this, have that clear potential as soon as possible for maybe the Baron lane to be able to have that extra gold, extra XP to gain that dominance. But the problem is, Josh did that as well into the mid lane, so it's not going to impact this game at all in this early stage, in the 45 seconds of the game. So right now, it's pretty even, it's pretty standstill, but we have to look at the future. And I want to ask you, Yuko, what do you think will happen next in the few minutes to come at level 3, at level 5?
All right, so let's take a quick peek into the possible future. This is assuming that, let's say MIRMOOO will be able to snowball. That is going to be a huge burst damage going over to Emperor, but for Leonites,
yeah, they're going through. There's gonna be a very, very aggressive play here by Leonites Esports, getting the first blood in the game. What is here so far? And MIRMOOO wants to go for the trade, but you have the flash from Sean going back to safety.
true. Also, that was just a taunts connecting. MIRMOOO as well as Wura did not expect that Galio in the sides. Now that's the charms connecting.
Battle for the Rift Scutter. It's going to be Galio falling down first here against MIRMOOO Esports as MIRMOOO tries to go for another, but Leonite, having HP advantage, can actually get the trade here against MIRMOOO Esports. Flag and Drag will be readied up. Flash will be burned by Emperor. Leonite Esports has to go away.
All right, so that Leonites tried to force that fight because they knew MIRMOOO was nowhere in the Dragon lane. You actually saw a lot of flashes being used as well as the barriers from Ari here. J4 also did not have flash this time around, so Leonites, that was their opening. At the very least, MIRMOOO was able to get away just because of the positioning or the skirmish area that Leonites chose.
Right. And I love how you mentioned about that one. It's pretty simple, but I think having that kill towards MIRMOOO Esports means that they're now even. When you're going for the kill standing though, this is a different story because Leonites got the kill onto the ADC, which means that their ADC is going to scale much faster when you're comparing it to MIRMOOO, who only got in maybe an assist, not a kill in that specific engagement for the first kill for MIRMOOO Esports. So currently Leonites is heading very dominantly in this first 3 minutes into the game, while you have Andy69 hovering top lane to be able to impact elsewhere for Leon Knights Esports.
Yeah, I don't think Andy 69 is gonna try this, given that Meow Han still has the ultimate national guillotine, but that is gonna be the skills being used.
Assault and Battery going for the knock as well. Destiny going to the top lane, goes for the stun. 1 HP,
One
who's gonna
hit.
take it down? Not gonna be able to do so. The guillotine will bring down Twisted Fate, but Renekton will now dash in. Smite will slow him down. That's gonna be stunned. 1 for 1 will be secured, but at the end of the day, MIRMOOO will get the better end as they get 2 out of that.
Color me embarrassed. I thought Andy 69 was not gonna jump in, but apparently they knew Twisted Fate has the destiny, and that is true. Twisted Fate under 6 minutes. He has so much lane pressure and lane presence, and Leonites they're able to get these win conditions in. Not only did were they able to utilize destiny, they were also able to get the kill. But of course, Yao Han got the better end of that bargain. One knockshot guillotine was able to turn things around, and Leonites was just left to fend for the small pieces that MIRMOOO Esports left them.
Right, and the early game impact that we were talking about a while ago is onto Andy 69 hovering elsewhere at level 3 at level 5, but not necessarily going into much into diving turrets because you're still at level 5, you're still at level 6. You don't have much items to be able to tank those damage, so I think MIRMOOO Esports just capitalize onto that knowledge. So having that edge, now they get the Ocean Dragon. They're going for the contest onto the Rift Herald, but Leon Knights will get it in return. MIRMOOO will now try to counter-engage with the quickness and the grand entrance from the Rakan, going for the 4-man CC Heroes entrance for the counter-attack by Leon Knights Esports, zoning away the enemy team. The flash will now be burned by Sean, but the charm will connect with the guillotine follow through, puts Josh down, and MIRMOOO will get the kill in trade for the Rift Herald for Leon Knights Esports.
Yeah, honestly, MIRMOOO Esports in that Rift Herald area, I'm pretty sure they have the upper hand. I'm not sure why they hesitated, but at the very least, the moment the Unites decided to disengage, that was when MIRMOOO Esports went all in. On top of that, they were able to get a kill, and the problem here, though, for Leon Knight's side is right now, 5 minutes in, MIRMOOO Esports being able to get the first blood turret.
And the reason for that is Leon Knights Esports was going for the pressure rate onto the Rift Herald. And they were really going very aggressive. Now, MIRMOOO went all in to trying to disengage that. So the HP advantage was going to the side of MIRMOOO Esports, so forcing out the recall for Leon Knights. MIRMOOO just got the opportunity to go for the tier 1 turret top lane. And now this enabled them to now have 1k gold lead up against Leon Knights Esports.
And MIRMOOO Esports, they're looking into ballooning the lead further. Still waiting for MIRMOOO as well as Wura to go online. Of course, that is going to be the late game insurance for MIRMOOO here. But so far, I'm loving the taunts coming out from Yanzu. If Leonites will be able to utilize that, then that is going to be a huge threat for MIRMOOO. For now, they're trying to avoid as much fights as they can. They only take the ones that's in front of them. They're not the ones trying to go with the hunt, and they actually like the conservative MIRMOOO Esports right now.
Yeah, supposedly this early jungle or this early game overall should be dominated by Leon Knights Esports because you have to remember you have Yanzu with a flash taunt available and D69 with a lot of single targeted CCs. So they have to capitalize on it because MIRMOOO Esports will gain that edge in the mid game, late game, and they have to think about a way to punish MIRMOOO. And I think that way is to set up some sort of ganks to be able to impact that huge chunk of gold that is currently to the side of XEXP from MIRMOOO Esports with a 2-0-2 standing. The gold difference from both jungles is 1k gold, and that is on a single roll. And you have to make it more clear. You have to make it much more closer if you want to match up into the mid game where your composition is early game. So
Here's the
Leonites
thing,
needs to solve this problem.
Here's the thing, you mentioned about the ganks or the fights that Leonites can do. This composition actually calls for ganks and surprise fights. I mean, again, you have this assault and battery, you have destiny, you have the taunts from Galio. So Leonites, they need to just have this good opportunity or a one good setup that will catch MIRMOOO Esports off guard. At some point, they could even wait for MIRMOOO to use the Feather Storm.
Another battle for the risk. Got there with a quickness. Grand entrance. Go for the follow-up. Gets a kill down. Yanzu will say goodbye. And now MIRMOOO will gain the edge once again when it comes to the team fight and numbers advantage. As that will be it.
I mean, the fact that Yanzu, Galio, the frontliner, well, one of the frontliners already being taken down, he literally got bursted down by Mirmo Esports there, by the way, could not do anything. That was a very good initiate in favor of Wura. So the moment that they already got that one kill, Leonites Esports decided to not overstay their welcome. We're next to the front line, though.
Yeah, it's a setup that Leonites Esports wants, but Murmo is just so informative on whether Leonites Esports is wanting for the gang. It's the gamer instincts,
True.
gamer sense that Murmo Esports is acting on to play here into the mid lane. So they were just clearing out the wave wherever a player wants to go very aggressive. They're stepping back. And that is
Mountain
what
Jake.
I like about Murmo Esports that they are currently doing. The respect for Leonites Esports on how they can be punished, even with this great advantage, is still there.
Mountain Jake already up. Mirmo Esports already rotating over to their side. And Leonites, they know this. Mirmo would want to get their hands on the Jacob. That's why they summoned their route in the mid lane. However, you have Twisted Fate, Sean alone into the dragon lane, but not really. He has some of his friends into the bushes side. Cataclysm is still available. And the Mirmo Esports again waiting for Leonites to pull the trigger. But in the mid lane, Josh being targeted by the lovebirds.
Right, and I think Murmo just wants to go for the defense and sort of punish into the mid lane as well to react actively. And now they're going for the sandwich attack, wherein the United Esports is wanting to go for it, but a counter engage as Jarvan 4 went for the dragon up, but will not be able to do so. Now Kai'Sa goes into the backside, goes in for the killer instinct, but with a trade here by XDXP, puts him down. It's now going to be a 2-for-0 trade-off. Nekton wants to go for more. He goes for a kill down. Does he do it? He won't, as Jarvan 4 will get triple kill in that fight.
That was a 1-3. Leonite started that fight, but Mirmo Esports, they were just able to put or cut the fight into two. But the mid lane,
Yeah, it is open by Leonites Esports with Twisted Fate, going for the
Flash.
split push. And at the very least, they get something in return in that massive kills from Murmo Esports.
yeah, that's just the goal lead ballooning over to the side. Baron Nashor is now up. Leonites at this point, they really need to get this. But if you're gonna observe the goal, they were able to eat up. Even things out by a bit. Now, Mirmo Esports already has a 500 goal lead. So, Leonites, they are slowly entering their peak of power. So, one good maybe taunt, one good slice and dice from Renekton even could turn the tides around.
Yeah, it might potentially be there as Leonites Esports though goes for the Destiny, has information that Murmo has gotten the Mountain Dragon, but will not go for a huge impact play because it's just so risky for them. If they lose a lot of members, Murmo Esports can now capitalize their advantage to push for more turrets to gain that better gold lead because currently it's pretty even for these two teams.
It is. And now Sean will just opt with the split push again. Now Unites, they I guess they just want to get the towers first, or at least even, or at least have this significant
Okay.
lead when it comes to the turret takedowns. Now you have Mirmo making his way down into the dragon lane as well. Renekton still holding his ground, but now you have this little
Look at the
box
mid lane.
in happening in the mid lane.
XDXP goes for the Cataclysm, actually locks onto two, but Assault and Battery will save Device alive. Now the Grand Entrance with quickness, zoning them away. It's a 0-4-0. No kills will be done as of yet. Both teams are just so defensive and playing very safe.
They are, and the fact that they use a lot of key ultimates in that fight in that mid lane, I don't think we're gonna be seeing another skirmish anytime soon. But defaulting back into the game, we are almost 12 minutes in. 3-8 on the scoreboard. Mirmo Esports still has the takedown lead. You already have Static Shiv as well as IE available for Saya, whereas we have Kaisa with just the board.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think we're just playing a sort of collect the stones, collect the circles, because currently you have to look at the green circles that is between onto the icons of these champions, and that
Uh-huh.
dictates whether an ultimate comes up. If an ultimate is up, that is your advantage. That is your key valuable factor in winning some of these team fights. But if you used everything, as you stated a while ago, in a single clash, in a single gank, the enemy team can now go for a counter engage with all their ultimates ready. So I think that will be the case here as Murmo Esports will now try to go for a sandwich, a pincer attack into the mid lane, and Lean Knights will be forced to back away once again.
Gold card did connect, and you said collect the stones, Thanos. Is that you? I just had to ask because you mentioned
Snap
collecting the
fingers,
stones.
man.
But yeah, now Mimo Esports, they were able to zone Leonites away. Baron is up for grabs, and looks like this could be a non-contested
Destiny.
Baron for Mimo Esports, but
Assault and battery. Heroes entrance will now go in for the triple knockup. So will that be enough? Remember, Esports go for the Cataclysm as well. Triple lockdown coming in. Lean Knights, though, is now gaining the edge. It's now going to be the 1-for-1, but MIRMOOO will gain the back down as Sean will fall and Lean Knights will go for the retreat as they are lacking the damage as Draw 1 will be the left member to go for the damage output for this team.
down boy down, said Mirmo Esports. Even though Leonites was the first one to initiate, at the very least, Mirmo, they waited for Saya to join the party. And like what you said, they just have this damage lead. Yeah, the layering of CCs from Leonites was very good. That hero's entrance could have made a difference. But if you do not have the actual firepower to follow through, you guys are going to have a problem. That's the reason why Mirmo was able to lock in those 2 kills and just force the Leonites to jump back. Looks like they will also be able to get this mid lane turret.
Yeah, it's a flag and drag in. Just blocks it down. MIRMOOO Esports gains a turret into the mid lane. And currently with Infernal Dragon coming up at 20 seconds, this might be the defining fact that the MIRMOOO Esports wants to finish this game as they're trying to gain that map control by getting the turret into the bottom lane as well. So pretty much a lot of gold are now funneling towards MIRMOOO Esports as they try to actually crash down into the bot side of the map. Cataclysm in, that's gonna be 2-man lockdown as Grand Entrance with quickness goes for the 3-man charm as they try to go for the counter engage. The United Esports will not take it down, will not be able to survive that attack. Now MIRMOOO is looking for the finish, is looking for the end, goes for the 2-man knockup with the Grand Entrance as well for the Rakan. Destiny end, that will give some more information, but the information will not be enough as MIRMOOO Esports will take game 1 away.